Hello everyone, welcome to my first Pick a Card tarot reading. Today I am doing a month overview of what you can expect for October, or from the October new moon to the November new moon, depending on which you would prefer. So the way that this is going to work is I would like you to focus on either October or the new moon cycle from this new moon, which is this Wednesday when I am putting the video out, to the next new moon. Whichever one feels right to you. Think about that, focus, take a minute. You can pause the video if you need to, and try not to second guess yourself too much. That's my only real advice to people, especially if you've never done a Pick a Card tarot reading before. If one of these decks stood out to you, I would say just go with your gut. If not, and you want to meditate on it, absolutely take the time that you need. I will also include timestamps in the description to each reading. So for reference, this is deck 1, this is deck 2, and this is deck 3. I have already shuffled and primed and set the intentions for all of these decks, so go ahead and pick which one that stands out to you the most now, and we will get on with the reading. All right. So if you picked deck 1, this reading is for you. The cards we're working with today, the spread we're working with today, is just a basic overview for the month. It goes energy of the month, love, money, work, health, and spirit. So let's just go ahead and dive into it. All right, for the energy of the month, we have the 10 of Cups. And here, I'll give you a closer look. So, essentially, this is a card of happiness. This month, for you, overall, the energy is that of fulfillment and joy, and maybe something romantic is in the works for you. Let's see. That makes me really interested in what the love card is going to be. But that's just the overall energy, so let's see what else you have. For love, we have the 6 of Wands reversed. Basically what this looks like to me is that you might be getting in your own way when it comes to love. And essentially, this is a card that denotes a lack of confidence, okay? You can be more confident with yourself. And I know that whatever recognition you've been looking for, you haven't been getting the way that you wanted to. But you're essentially just getting in your own way. It's your own self-doubt that is the biggest obstacle for you when it comes to this month in the area of love. Also, with like all of these wands in her hand, it feels like she might be juggling too many projects. If you're looking for recognition from a bunch of different people, and it's affecting your confidence because it's not all working out. Love can mean familial love or platonic love as well. It's not all romantic. So if you're looking for a certain reaction from a large group of people, you might just be juggling too much, or you might be juggling too much when it comes to like work and relationships, like it's stressing you out and hitting your confidence. So looking in, I think, and figuring out what it is that you are actually dealing with when it comes to what's hurting your confidence the most is probably a good idea. I keep having to wait for cars to go by. Okay, so for money, we have the High Priestess. That's a great card. The High Priestess is a card of intuition and being able to trust your intuition. She says to think before you act, but trust that you know what's in your best good. Basically, you can bridge the boundary of your dreams and make them a reality. You can make the intangible tangible, which is a really cool card to have for money, because you've been dreaming of something, haven't you? You've been dreaming of something that you wanted to do with your money, whether that's how you want to make money or how you want to spend it, how you want to save it. There's some sort of dream, and I'm no financial advisor. Do not take this as financial advice ever, or love advice or health advice or any of that, all right? That's not for me. You take these messages as you will, okay? But essentially, you have it in you to make these decisions yourself, right? Like, you have a dream that you can make a reality, and if you think it through, all right, don't just go acting willy-nilly. That's not what the High Priestess does. She makes very well thought out decisions. But you can do some cool things with what you've got this month. Which brings us to work and the Five of Wands. Wow, we're getting a lot of wands. So the Five of Wands, this card, I actually love this card a lot because it's easy to remember. The two-headed snake, this is one snake that's got two heads. It's pulling itself in either direction. It's unfocused, it's in a conflict, essentially, where two sides do not want to go the same way. And the advice that this card gives is to hear each other out, okay? Whether it's another person or just within yourself, not knowing which direction you want to go or which thing you want to do, you need to very cordially address what is the differences, what are the pros and cons, and currently you're at a stalemate. Currently at work, things aren't working, right? So if you can really talk things through and or make your own pro-con lists if it's an internal issue rather than something with another person. Often this card has to do with other people, but I've had it come up a lot when I'm avoiding making a decision. So this is basically telling you the wands are literally piercing the snake. You're going around in circles, and you have to face each other and have positive conflicts. A little bit of therapy advice on this. My therapist preaches to me all the time about how relationships cannot grow without conflict. And it's been very, very true for me. So if it does involve other people and you're like me, conflict avoidant, really scared to cross boundaries or push people away or defend your boundaries, like, just know that this is the only way to grow. This is the only way to get things moving, because at this moment, nothing's moving. This is a stalemate. the conflict has already begun, but the conflict is basically who's going to avoid conflict the longest. So be the person, or take the moment with yourself to address that and confront it in a cordial manner, I have to say again. This card isn't about fighting. This card is about seeing out what's not being communicated, because something's not being communicated. And the project, the work, it's not working. All right. Next, we have the more snakes. We have the Five of Cups. This is another one of those cards where the picture really does tell 1,000 things, okay? Like, it's one thing, but it's very obvious to me the moment I see it. So the Five of Cups is a card of disappointment and regret. And this card represents your health. So there's something in your health that you're disappointed from, you're regretting, you're in pain, you're sick maybe, and there's just, it's not a good time. This is a card of, what's the word? Basically, this card is saying that things are bad for you. Bad things have been happening, but you're bogging yourself down in self-pity at the same time. You're making it 1,000 times worse by indulging in that disappointment to the point where you've forgotten everything that you still have. It's a card about looking for solutions and silver linings and replacing a mindset of scarcity with gratitude. Gratitude, that's the word. Because some things are going wrong with your health, but what's going right? Are you getting better? Are you healing? If you focus on the healing more potently than you focus on the illness itself, it will help you cope at the very least. It's not saying things could be worse, so shut the fuck up. It's saying you still have 4 cups that are upright. I mean, let's look at where we started and the middle. I mean, this month is full of fulfillment and happiness and joy, and you have a lot going on for you when it comes to your monetary dreams. The potential is there, but your health-wise, you're focusing on everything that's going wrong, and that's not going to help you cope with any of it, and it's not going to allow you to enjoy the good things that are happening if you focus on this. So do take care of your health this month. You might see something disappointing happen, but keep it at disappointment. Don't take it to a place of scarcity, a place of I have nothing, because you do have a lot. This isn't a card of giving up by any means. This is a card of changing your actions and focusing on what's good, because there's a lot to be grateful for still. And finally, your spirit card is the Four of Wands. So yeah, every other card has been wands. Now I touched the tripod. It's okay. The Four of Wands reversed isn't the happiest card either. It represents sort of troubles in the home, troubles in relationships with your loved ones, friends and family. Being that it is the spirit card, it could have to do with your ancestors even. Perhaps there's a breakdown of communication spiritually for you with your ancestors. Another way to see spirit cards, though, is fulfillment, your personal sense of fulfillment, which this month you can expect some fulfillment. You can expect to feel fulfilled, but there's been spiritually, or will be spiritually, a breakdown of communication that will challenge you this month. And your challenge is to find the balance again, because things are out of balance and communication isn't happening. And essentially, this is a period of transition that is really uncomfy. Okay, it's really uncomfy to feel things changing, to feel relationships changing, to feel balance, a usually balanced area of your life become unbalanced, and communication to break down. But this transition is likely going to be something really important to you. So what I actually feel, okay, what I actually feel for this card for you, those of you who are watching, is that you are finding a new relationship with spirit. I don't know what that means for you. It could mean your ancestors, it could mean God and angels, or it could mean the universe. It could mean your sense of fulfillment, what fulfills you, whether it's work or family, or your hobbies, creativity. Whatever you find to feed you spiritually or fulfillment wise, a transition is happening. You're leveling up, essentially. And it's really, really uncomfortable. And that's valid. It's not gonna be comfortable. It's gonna suck. But ultimately, as you get through this month, the journey is to fulfillment. The energy of the month is fulfillment. All of these work in accordance to you reaching fulfillment. But yeah, this is your reading for those of you who picked deck 1. I hope this reading helped and was entertaining and provided whatever advice or points to think on that you were hoping for. Let me know down below if you have any questions or comments about any of the cards or the reading overall. I will be happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching, and next deck! If you chose the Crow Tarot deck, this reading is for you. The spread we're working with is Energy of the Month, Love, Money, Work, Health, and Spirit. So let's get started. The energy of the month for you guys is the Two of Wands. This is a card that's pushing you to make a decision. Two of Wands reversed, I should say. Essentially, this month holds an important decision for you, and you need to not avoid it. You need to not avoid making that decision, because it's very important to the path that you move forward on. The more reluctant you are to making that decision, the more blocked your energy will be, and basically you're not going to be moving forward at all, and that's a problem. So what you need to do is take some time this month to prioritize your goals and figure out what your next steps are and actually start to move on them. Because yeah, it may be comfortable in the comfort zone. That's why it's called a comfort zone. But if you're reluctant to make a decision, it's probably because it feels like a risk. And through risk, you will reach your reward. And making a decision is the bare minimum beginning of any process, really. I'm not really sure what the background noises happening are. All right, so your love card for this month is the Death card reversed. Essentially, the Death card just means transition or transformation or change. Reversed, it means that you're resisting change. And I'm going to guess, it is an assumption. I want to get that across, but I'm going to guess that for those of you watching, when it comes to your love life, you are resisting a change already. And moving into October, moving into this moon cycle, you're basically just staying stagnant because of that resistance for things to change. This doesn't have to mean like the ending of a relationship. It could be, if that's, meaningful to you. But I think more likely, on a broader scale, since this is a pick a card, pick a deck, I guess, reading, it's probably just warning you to look at the habits and relationships and attachments, the ways that you communicate, the things that aren't working, and address them. Because something has to change. It doesn't have to mean the relationship ends, whether, again, love doesn't always mean a romantic relationship. It could mean a platonic relationship or a family relationship, but the relationship that comes to mind for you when I talk about this is probably the one that it's talking about. All right. Something has to change. Either you have to communicate something to someone or set a boundary, or it's definitely a change that you personally don't want to do. It makes you uncomfortable. But ultimately, avoiding it is just blocking your potential. It's blocking your growth and the growth of that relationship. So again, that looks like the main theme of what's going to be going on for you in that relationship this month is a transformation. And I just want you to know that ultimately the change is good. The change is in your best interest. It is for your potential, for your happiness. So it really is worth it to look within the relationships you're dealing with right now and seeing what needs to change, because it could be something small. It could ultimately end up being like, why didn't I just talk to them about that sooner? Sort of situation. But since the Death reversed card is coming up, there's a lot of cards that represent change in the tarot deck, and this is a major arcana card. Being that it's this card, I would say your resisting it has lasted longer than it should have. You've been resisting the change for too long, and regardless of what you believe, whether it's the universe or random chance or psychology or something spiritual, this is the message that you needed to get. You needed a strong, firm, the change is happening whether you like it or not. Please stop resisting it. All right, so just on that note, on that happy note, let's move on to money. Oh, great. My other favorite change card. So, essentially, change is afoot, and it's going to be the sort of change that shakes you to your core, okay? This is your money card, so monetarily, something that was once safe and stable is going to start falling apart. And what you need to know is that it's coming, all right? This one feels like something that's been happening and you've been resisting. This one feels like it's coming. And I'm not a financial advisor. Do not make financial decisions based on my advice, but the cards, for the sake of the reading, are letting you know that change is coming and you should probably keep an eye out for it while also embracing it, okay? Embrace the idea that something is going to change and ultimately look for the ways that it's going to be way better than what you already had. Because this tower is crumbling. It's old. It's falling apart. It's on fire. It's not a good place to stay. You don't want to stay there. You don't really want to be there. It was home. You're used to it. It's comfortable. But the comfort zone in this case isn't worth the risk, right? Like the risk is trying to stay in the comfort zone. So embrace the changes that are happening for you. Just look for how to protect yourself while things crumble, because with big changes come a lot of discomfort, and again, things seem to be building up to a much better, more impressive, productive future for you. But you're starting the process of getting there, and it's just, I'm sorry to say, it's going to be uncomfortable. Let's see what's in store for you with work. Oh, yeah, see? Everything's looking up. Everything is looking up. Actually, you're in a good situation already, is what this card means. Work-wise, it seems like monetarily, it's probably not going to be what you consider to be your work, whether that's a mundane job or some sort of craft. Whatever you consider to be your true work in your life, it's going good. This is some fortune here, all right? You're sitting pretty in this lush garden space, all right? This is a time of clarity. You can manifest. So if you believe in the law of attraction, it's working for you, okay? You're doing it. Just keep your eyes on your goal, all right? Keep your eyes on your goals and you will get there. And you can invest more into your work, I would say, whatever that means to you. Again, I am not a financial advisor. I am just a tarot reader. This is for fun. I take no responsibility for any legal, financial, or relationship decisions that you make for your own life, but it's looking pretty good. It's looking like, despite all the changes that are happening, you are going to have some areas of your life that are so rich and full and, what's the word? I want to say inspiring and prosperous. Good stuff. And now we're back to some heavy things. Wow, you're getting a lot of major arcana cards, actually. So for health for you, it basically looks like a breakdown of a relationship, right? The Lovers, people always think of romantic relationships, but really it has more to do with decisions and commitments and general relationships. So you and your relationship with your health aren't consistent. You need to be honest with yourself about the reasons behind the decisions you've been making and take the time to examine your choices about your health carefully. If you've been wanting to start doing something but procrastinating it, take this as your sign to just try doing it. And if it doesn't feel right after you do it for a few days, you don't have to keep doing that, you know? The relationship is in flux. You don't have to commit fully, but you do have to try to commit in order to have the relationship. If you've chosen to go down a path that hasn't been feeling good, hasn't been making you feel healthy, I would say talk to your doctors and maybe pull back on it. Whether you do it slowly or all at once, it depends on what we're talking about. Obviously, I'm also not a healthcare provider or health coach or anything. But basically the message here is that you need to start aligning your values with your actions when it comes to your health, because there's something that's not quite connecting there. And last but not least, we have your Spirit card, which is the Hermit reversed. This is interesting. This is interesting because if the Hermit were right side up, I would say you need to pull away and go deep and reflect, and look within, deep within yourself to find your connection to spirit, but it's reversed. So it seems like you've been trying to do that, but maybe for the wrong reasons or in the wrong way. You aren't reflecting for self-discovery, but maybe just trying to escape the mundane stressors and overwhelming things in your life. You're pulling away from people in a way that's not spiritually helpful, actually. And your spirit would actually probably, spirit also represents fulfillment. So even if you're not a spiritual person, your sense of fulfillment is not being fed by your pulling away and isolating yourself. You should reach out to people, talk to them, let them know, what's going on with you. I would say ask yourself if you're actually recharging when you're pulling away from people, going into the spiritual or throwing yourself into what you find fulfilling. Is it recharging you, or are you just hiding from the other areas of life? But yeah, seeking others and connection with others, as well as maybe a second pair of eyes, perhaps, would help you feed your fulfillment and your spiritual practice far more than going within and just isolating. Okay, so I really hope that this reading resonates with you guys. Let me know in the comments if it did. If it didn't, you can ask me any questions about any of the cards or the reading as a whole. Let me know what I can do better. This is my first time making one of these videos, so I could really use the feedback. But yeah, that's your reading, and now we will move on to deck number 3. Hello, deck 3 people. If you chose this deck, this is the Book of Shadows tarot deck. It's a little bit special to me because when I looked through the original booklet for the cards, the interpretations are very different from the average tarot interpretations, and they're very confusing, I guess. So I will, as I go, look up the original interpretations and give them, as well as mixing it with my own knowledge of tarot interpretations and my intuitive feelings about each card. So for this reading for the month, we have the energy of the month, love, money, work, health, and spirit. So let's get started. The energy for you this month is the Crone of Air. This is the wise one or leader who makes logical and strategic decisions. This could mean that you yourself are going to be this month a reliable leader who may not know everything via the book, but you search for the solutions, and people really respect that. They look to you for insights. If the card doesn't necessarily mean you, the card doesn't necessarily mean that it's you. However, it could mean that another person is a source of advice or counsel for you this month. But ultimately, logic will do you well. Let's see what the booklet says. The booklet says, closing the book, there are some things you aren't meant to know at this time. I would say that's a really weird interpretation of this card. But there's a truth to it. There's a bird shrouded in darkness back here. The crone is closing the book. Perhaps this means that while you will be seeking advice from others or providing advice for others, you should be aware that this month you won't have all the answers that you seek. And it might just not be the time for that to happen, for you to know those things. And that's okay. It doesn't make you less of a good leader. It doesn't make you less of a good student. Whatever worries are attached to not knowing, this card is saying that that's okay. Logic will still do you well this month, and there's just some things that you don't have to have figured out yet. Now your card for love is the World. That's wonderful. The World is a card of completion, of wholeness. It's success and fruition, the end of a journey, but also joy and relief. Your work's paying off. Whatever work you've done in your relationships, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be family or friends. It could be your relationship with your pet. It could be your relationship with yourself. Self-love is something I focus on a lot when I pull these cards for myself each month. But ultimately, this month, you're going to see all of that work culminate into the payoff. And you can absolutely revel in what you've accomplished. You have full permission. If you were looking for permission, this is it. If you were looking for a sign that it's not what it seems, no, it's what it seems. If it seems good, then it's what it seems. The booklet for this card says completeness, wholeness, a sense that all is right with the world, a feeling of belonging to something bigger. So yes, that's the general vibe of this card and of your life this month when it comes to love and relationships, whether it's with yourself or your friends or your family. Whatever work you've been doing, you get to celebrate. Next is your work card. The One of Water, which is the Ace of Cups in the average deck. This is one of my favorite cards. I associate it with the phrase, fill your love cup, because, oh look, I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but yeah, the liquid inside is pink. It's it's love, it's fulfillment. Whatever brings you and your heart happiness, that's what you can focus on. Of course, this is your money card. I don't know if I said money or work before, but this is the money card. I would say that monetarily, while I'm not a financial advisor, and you should not take financial, medical, or legal advice from me. I am not able to give any of these things. But it looks like this month is the start of something beautiful and fulfilling within your relationship with money, whether that means you're going to hit your goal of what you wanted to save up, or you can buy something that you really wanted, or you're getting a job that you were really hoping for. I'm not sure what it is, but there's some level of fulfillment there. And the opportunities for fulfillment could be on any level, whether it's spiritual or emotional or physical. So, all right. For this card, the booklet says the beginning of a powerful relationship, strong connection with the divine. So yes, again, your relationship with money is going to be fruitful this month. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be coming into some money, just that you'll feel a sense of fulfillment with what's going on. Or at least you're on track at the moment too. So I would say if you want any advice from these positive cards, these overwhelmingly positive cards, it would be to keep putting in the work that you're putting in, because it will come to fruition. And again, to keep putting in the work, keep focusing on filling your love cup, because it's working. It's not leaking, okay, if you were concerned. All right, next is your work card. I'm gonna start with the booklet definition for this one. It's the 7 of air, which would be the 7 of swords. So the booklet says the answer you seek is within the question you ask. The 7 of swords card is one of those cards where it tends to mean that someone's trying to deceive you or try to get away with something unethical. And, conversely, it could mean, hey, if you are trying to do something unethical or trying to get away with something, this is your warning that you will get caught. So I would say, considering the message of this card being the answer you seek is within the question you ask, I would say the question you're asking might be at work, hey, is this thing that we're being asked to do ethical? Or is this person taking advantage of me? And the card is, this is what I mean about this deck being somewhat cryptic and blunt at the same time. But essentially, the answer is in the question. If you're wondering, you can look into it. You should look into it. If it's feeling off, there's probably something about it that's off, and you should look into it and see what you can do. That's all I can say on that. That's actually such a good card. This is what I mean when I say that some of the cards' meanings are really weird to me, while other ones are brilliant when you combine them with the usual. All right, next we have the Eight of Fire. I'll read that one's booklet definition first as well. This is your card for health, and it says, this is another odd one, daydreams and fantasies, a desire for mystery, using the energy of illusions. Do I know what that means? Not yet. So what would the Eight of Wands usually be along the lines of? The Wand suit, the fire suit, is one of energy and vitality. And I feel like 8 represents that energy and vitality, especially when we look at this card's representation with Neptune. This feels like the ocean during a thunderstorm, you know? The energy is vibrant and expansive. So maybe you should look at the bigger pictures of things when it comes to your health. Look at yourself wholly. Look into a holistic view of yourself, health-wise. Don't get too caught up in the details right now, okay? If you're one of those people watching every little fluctuation in your weight, just know your weight fluctuates. Everybody's does. Look at the big picture. How do you feel? Does what you're doing make you feel healthy? Are you feeling that vitality that you are going for? This obviously doesn't have to just talk about, you know, weight or exercise or nutrition. It's your general health. Are you taking care of your hygiene the way that you want? Are you getting the fresh air that you want? Basically, you have really good potential to feel really good this month. And it would behoove you to look at the big picture as well as take things one at a time. Don't look at the big picture and get overwhelmed and think I have to do everything and start doing one thing and then start doing another thing. No, take it one step at a time. If you have a to-do list, don't start the next item until you do the first, until you finish the first. Because it'll probably help you feel better in the long run. Yeah. All right, and then Spirit. The Spirit card can also be read as fulfillment. And we have the only reversed card for you. That's interesting. So the booklet says, giving up, changing things, and relying on others. And the 5 of air would be the 5 of swords. Reversed, I do think that denotes the sort of energy of giving up. But it's less that you're giving up on changing things and relying on others, and more, to me, like you're giving up on fighting. You're giving up on a battle that you know isn't worth the gains it'll get you. That spiritual battle. What would the spiritual battle be? Oh my gosh. Maybe there's something that you've been fighting with yourself about when it comes to what you find fulfilling. Maybe you've been trying to paint, but you don't feel fulfilled. It's just wearing you out. Or maybe it is something spiritual. Maybe you're doing tarot, your own tarot, and it's just not hitting right. And this month is going to be big for you in deciding whether that battle is worth the gains. What will you gain from it? Is it truly worth the effort and the fighting and the stress? Or will you better find fulfillment and spiritual connection elsewhere? Is there something else you could move on to doing? I almost want to pull another card on this one, but I truly think that those of you who picked this deck had something pop into your head, um, and so you already know what to think on and what to introspect on, because the answers you find are going to be yours and yours alone. Part of the nature of pick a card, pick a deck, pick a pile tarot readings is that the message is general enough for whomever chooses that deck. So ultimately, the reading can't be more specific to your particular scenario, and the true answers are going to come from within. They are within the questions that you're asking. They're with the impressions that the cards give you as well. Anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed this reading. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you have any questions about any of the cards or the deck, feel free to ask. I will be happy to answer. I really enjoyed this reading, and I've really enjoyed the experience of making this video. So I'm actually genuinely excited to do more of this in the future. So if there's anything that I could improve on, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. Thank you so much for watching. I don't have an outro. What's my outro?